to everybody the same way. True story, Pastor Linda told me in a text that Jen was going to do the Lord's table. And I said, awesome, stars, right? I love when you share, Jen. She shared the exact same word I'm bringing. I'm speaking about the exact same verse, the exact same story. I'm like, okay, game on, God, let's go. Love it. So if you're here today, then this is a story that you're supposed to be hearing about. But we're not going to move on too fast, right? And I'm going to use the story. I'm not going to keep you here very long, but I thought it would be remiss to miss out and just overlook what we've been talking about. So who have we been talking about? Who's the character that we've been talking about that Pastor James has been talking about? Joseph. Great. Say it again. Because I've been talking about it with my kids, and I keep saying Jacob, Jonathan, Joshua, like, Dad, it's Joseph. I'm like, oh, gosh, I kept forgetting. Even in my notes, Jada reviewed my notes. She's like, Dad, you've got Jacob in here. It's Joseph. I'm like, oh, God, thank you. So let's just talk a little bit about Joseph. Again, not keeping you here too long. So here are my two questions. What are we holding on to? And who is holding on to us? Now, every Christian in here knows that who's holding on to us? Well, God is holding on to us. We understand that. We believe that, right? And as Jen kind of said as well, and I'm just going to keep saying Jen a lot, so just deal with it, sorry. But there are things that we go through that sometimes we don't have an answer for, right? So let's just observe Joseph's story real quick. See, I did it again. Joseph's story real quick. First, we see this brash young man, right? Who, through the text, appears a little arrogant, right? He's also the favorite. He's walking around in his gifted robe from Jacob. Then we see he tell his family a dream, right? And the first time, okay, we get the dream. All right, great. They kind of like, whatever, Joseph. Then a second dream about how they're all going to bow down to him. And now things escalate pretty quickly, right? As we go through the story, we see Joseph, the favorite son, Joseph, the beaten up boy in the well, Joseph, the slave, Joseph, the prisoner, Joseph, the forgotten, Joseph, the governor of all of Egypt. Woo! It reads like Gladiator, right? Joseph's story is all about what the world can do. It can betray you, cheat you, lie to you, try to break you, and it can even promote you. Circumstances. We see Joseph is a story of circumstances that are being placed upon this young man. And here's another thing that we see. It doesn't say it directly about his personality, but God is also showing us something else. Joseph has a God-given dream. It was kind of locked into him. His father's love for him was also locked into him. It was part of his identity. So what I mean here simply is Joseph was the youngest brother. So younger brothers in the room, sorry. Younger brothers got beat up a lot. It's just what happens. He had a lot of older brothers. Getting beat up was par for the course, right? So younger brothers, you guys got tormented. I have a younger brother. He got tormented. I also have an older brother who would visit, and he would, yeah, that guy too. Anyway, Lee over there, I'm pointing him out. So here's the story. There must have been something about Joseph that he held on to. We know that he was his father's favorite. Now, as the youngest, he was probably extremely attentive to his older father. He probably knew what his father needed before his father said anything. There's a reason why he was the favorite. He's also the youngest. He was able to enjoy him. But then we also see that as a slave in Potiphar's house, we see him take over the whole house. He's managing everything. He does it again for the warden as a prisoner. And then finally for the Pharaoh and all of Egypt. At any time in Joseph's story, he could have stopped. He would have been justified to get bitter, resentful, vengeful. The character of Joseph throughout his story, wherever he ends up, is the same. He goes, he serves, he's honorable, trustworthy. His character, despite all the stuff that goes on, does not change. And what does the word say? Right? Because when we talk about Joseph, unlike David and Peter and some of these other guys, we don't get as much of his personality right now in the story. We get how he is. It says in Genesis chapter 39, verse 2, when he was sold to Potiphar, that the Lord was with him. And then when he was betrayed and accused and sent to prison, in verses 39, 21, it says, the Lord was with him. God never lets go. God never lets go. We have circumstances. We understand what the world's doing. Anybody that's in here for this, you know what? Let's do this. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yeah. You can do better. Why are you clapping for yourself? Because you're here. I'm not shaming anybody that's not here. I'm simply saying we've all had weeks. We've all had some real seasons, right? And we're getting into a time where the world's becoming more and more and more and more, if it wasn't before, more and more and more uncomfortable, unrecognizable. Is it just me? I know this. When I touch and I meet with another Christian, when I come to church, I lock eyes with some of you, my spirit's refilled. Because I'm getting something here that there's nothing out there for. All right. Here's my first point. God doesn't let go, and he has not let go of you. I don't know what circumstance you're in. I don't know what you've heard. I was talking about the only way out is through a few weeks ago, and then I kind of lived it. I'm still in it. You know what I'm saying? But God does not let go. And I wanted to illustrate Joseph before we go to Peter. Can we do that? You guys mind if we have a little bit of fun? All right, ushers, kill the lights. We're going to play around a little bit. We're going to do a little skit. If you haven't been here in a while, this is something that we used to do. I haven't done this in a while, so there's some rust, so bear with me. We're just playing around, having some fun, all right? And let's put down the shade as well, please.
You have just hit bottom.
Finally. I finally let go.
Well, not completely, but that's the plan.
Whose plan?
Mine.
And who are you?
I am light.
Well, if you're light, why is it so dark in here?
Because there's nothing here for me to shine on but you. Right now, we don't need anything else.
You might not need anything else, but I can use a drink. Anything?
No, you might want one, but you definitely can't use one. A drink will not get you out of here.
Well, then how about a friend, light?
Oh, I know, and that's why I'm here.
Here. Where is here? Where am I?
Like I said before, you have found the bottom.
I don't like it here.
No one does.
Does that mean I can leave?
It's totally your choice.
Oh, no, in that case.
Well, wait. Before you go, don't you want to know why you're here?
I already know why I'm here. Okay? Because I keep messing up. There's a screw up everywhere. And that's the reason why I don't deserve any love or any joy in my life. I get it.
That is a lie. You were made for joy. And there's a lot that I can do for you in this place, in this moment, that I cannot do anywhere else. So you should know before you go, if you leave now, it's very possible that you'll end up here again.
So you're telling me that I'm just going to keep screwing up and ending up here?
I'm telling you that I love you, and I want you free from everything that is pulling you down. No matter what you choose to do, I won't ever leave you. I am always with you. I always have been.
Well, I can't feel you.
Well, tell me, what do you feel?
Out of control?
The control you think you have is an illusion. You've never had it.
Well, am I ever going to get some control over my life?
What I'm saying is that control is not the point for you. It's not the point for anyone.
Oh, so nobody has control.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, then what is the point?
The point of what?
The point of living. What's the point of all of this?
The point is that control is the wrong goal.
Then why does everybody want it? Light.
I believe that you think control means you won't have any pain, that you will be able to protect the ones you love. I think you all mistake control for peace.
Peace? I don't even think peace exists.
Well, then tell me, how are you feeling right now?
I'm tired.
I know. It's why I have been so burdened for you. Anything else?
Well, this place you call the bottom, it's really quiet.
Why?
Because I'm the only one here.
Well, I'm here too.
Yeah, but I can't see you.
You know what you need right now is to hear me. And because it is just you and me, your ideas about control cannot find you.
Can anything? Can anyone find me here?
The most important thing for you to know is that I have found you. I have always found you. I will always find you.
Okay, so what now?
You stay. You stay here with me. And then when you're ready, you let go.
Let go? What else is there to let go of?
You let go of the lies that make you want control. The lie that you have been forgotten. The lie that you don't matter. The lie you will never be good enough to be loved. You let me give you the truth about yourself. That even though you are imperfect, even though you struggle, even though you screw up and make mistakes, the truth is you are made in the image of God, your Creator, who certainly is enough. And you are worthy of love.
But I don't know how to let go of the lies.
You start with one word.
What word?
Help. Scream it, or think it, or whisper it, or just allow yourself to feel it.
Do I need to be more specific?
Can be. There's nothing I haven't heard before. But just ask. Then
Then what?
let go of your expectations of what my help will look like. Try to lean on me and trust me. I will send comfort. I will send peace. But you can only receive it if you let go of your understanding about this life and lean on my life. Are you ready?
I thought that was an illustration. That's kind of what was in my head. If you guys know me, I'm very visual. So I found that skit from a group called the Skit guys, and I thought it was just very apropos for where we've been, and kind of it ties in what I wanted to share today. So I'd like to slide over to Matthew chapter 14, verse 22. Just funny, just really funny. And Jen has already read it, so I'm going to highlight it, and I just want to talk about some observations here. And again, nothing crazy. First observation is we see that Jesus sent them. He insists that the disciples get in the boat and get out of here. Now we know that there's 5,000 men. What's not said is that there's a lot of women and children there as well. This is a mob. And Jesus has essentially just gotten rid of his bodyguards. He's like, you guys get out of here. Get to the chopper, go. Just go. Get out. And when you read the other translations, it says he insists, he sent them away, he told them to go. It's very, very matter of fact. There's no subjectivity here as to what's going to happen next. So we understand now that the disciples have been sent to go across the way. They had an appointment that they couldn't miss. So Jesus says, go, I will deal with this crowd. And as Jen said, sorry, Jen, he goes to a quiet place. And then, I love this, he observes them from afar. So some versions say he was on a hill, some versions say he was on a mountain, but it's night, and they are in the wind, and the waves are hitting them hard. Mike, can we put up that video? The waves are hitting them hard. Now, what's interesting here is that we know that this is a boat. We've got a lot of fishermen on that boat. They've been around big waves before. They've crossed this water many times before, but they're having a hard time. And despite where they are, Jesus is kind of concerned, like, wait a second. They don't look like they're doing too good in that boat. And I found this, and it's like, oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. So he's watching them from the hill. All right, so we're back up here. And you guys get this. So when we see Joseph is taken advantage of by his environment. He's knocked down, he's getting up again. The hardship that he's dealing with is in response to bad people that are just evil, whatever. Then we have Jesus telling his people to go, and they end up in a bad storm. They were doing exactly what they were told to do, and they end up in the storm. I think it's very relaxing. No? My mom's saying how is that relaxing? Well, watching you might not be relaxing, but it sounds relaxing. So we get back into our story, and this is interesting. When we read the account in Mark, it says that he intended to go by them, but they saw him and cried out to him. Well, one, he must have been close enough for them to see him, and two, he was close enough for them to hear them as well. I'm wondering, when Jesus was looking out and seeing their ship being tossed to and fro, I'm wondering, did he think any of them would invoke his name? That they would remember the story when he was on the boat with them in the storm and he calmed the storm? I'm wondering if he thought that after they saw the miracles that he had just performed with the 10,000, if they were going to call on God to be with them or call out. I'm wondering what he was thinking when he saw these men arrive at their destination, at their appointment. Then, and this is me. This is funny. Jesus is walking on water within eyesight of the guys in the boat. We know it's 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. We know it's dark. We know the winds are kicked up, and we know that these professional fishermen aren't handling this boat very, 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 very well. So Jesus is walking within distance for them to not only see him, but for them to have a conversation back and forth, which I think is funny. In this moment, I'm wondering, did he think that once they saw him, they would call on him and say, calm the storm down, and then they were like going to race, like they're rowing and Jesus running across the water to the other side? I think it's pretty hysterical. I think there's a lot of humor in this. I see the men screaming out for their lives when they say, oh my gosh, it's a phantom, it's a ghost. I'm like, no, it's Jesus. It's Jesus out there in the storm. And what's interesting here is, of all the cries that are heard, all the things that could have been said, the only thing that is recorded is Peter saying, can I come? Calm the water down, Jesus. Save us, Jesus. Help us, Jesus. None of that is in here. The only thing that's being recorded as far as dialogue is Jesus saying to Peter, Peter saying to Jesus, can I come? Here's my question. And again, I'm not going to be very long with you guys. When Jesus replies to Peter, did the water stop? Did the wind stop? We know that there was a storm. We know that there were waves. Pastor James delivered a message a while back talking about there was ice. Maybe Jesus was surfing on ice floes as he was going across. This was rough, bad water. Peter's only response is, can I come out where you are? And Jesus says, come on. Come on, Pete. Peter doesn't get out of the boat when everything dies down. He doesn't get out of the boat when everything's calm. He doesn't get out of the boat when the diagnosis is over. He doesn't get out of the boat when the healing process is over. He doesn't get out of the boat when things are a little bit easier to manage or talk about or deal with. He gets out of the boat in the midst of the storm. Go back to Joseph. Joseph doesn't, be really good with the Pharaoh after being really terrible in the prison. Or he doesn't become a troll in the prison after getting thrown in there from Potiphar's house. And he doesn't go to Potiphar's house being some horrible slave who's bitter and just whining and crying after his brothers betrayed him in the pit. There is a consistency, not only of God holding on to us, but Peter demonstrates that we have to sometimes back down and let go. See, the story hinges on this. What was the point of the storm? What was the point of the storm? Jesus gets on the boat, everything's cool. Like in a wonderful twist of irony, Peter and Jesus hop on the boat, and now the water's like glass. What was the storm for? We have the disciples on the boat. One gets out. Sometimes I think our storms are for the spectators. I think sometimes our storms are for the people that we share breath with and this time and space that is gifted to us. Sometimes I think that we walk through some really difficult stuff. We are not absolved from the machinations of the world, but we are given something that overcomes all those things so that when we are oppressed, we still shine because the waves don't matter. Wait, listen to me. Don't hear me say that it's not easy. Don't hear me say that you shouldn't be affected. I'm simply saying that when we talk about Jesus and our relationship, this is just spectacle. This is just to display Him. And we don't have answers. We don't have answers. It's public knowledge. My wife had cancer this week. We don't know how that happened. We don't have answers how it happened. We don't have answers for the diagnosis. We don't know. We just know that now we have to walk through it. And how we walk through it is on display for everyone that we interact with, everyone that knows our story, everyone that we're daring enough to be vulnerable with and share our lives with. And it's the story of who Jesus Christ is in and on our lives. Way off the point. Piano person can come up. Mike, give me that one. My favorite movie is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Hey, I know. I love that show. I love that movie. And I love this picture. And, yeah. All right, whatever. So, here's the story. when we see Joseph, we understand Joseph had a dream, and he had a relationship with the Lord. We understand that God was with him and was holding on to him in the midst of everything that he was in. God was holding on to him in the midst of the press. We fast forward our picture, and also we understand that with Joseph's story, the environment was crunching down on him. And we would say, that's unfair, that was wrong, that was unjust. How could they forget you? Like, everybody here in the room kind of feels bad in a sense, like he got a bad shake. He didn't do anything there. We fast forward our story to Peter. Peter, foot in his mouth, Peter. Action Jackson, action Peter, right? We're in the storm, and the storm is an appointment. The storm was an appointment. And Jesus is watching the whole thing. And when the waves got to be too much, he got off the hill. He got on the waves and started moving on out to where they were. Just hanging out. Hey guys, what's going on? What, the waves? As he's going up and down? It's like, what are you talking about here? And in the midst of the storm, when we lock eyes with Jesus, Jen, when we lock eyes with Jesus, that's all that matters. When we touch him, all of this falls away. But when we call out to him, you know what he's doing? He's doing this. Come. Come. I want you here with me. Come. Come. Come out of that thing. Come. I want you here with me. You don't have to live in the past. You don't have to live in what happened. You don't have to keep telling the same story. You can leave that. You don't have to stay with those same people on the boat. You don't have to stay in that type of mentality. There are places in our lives that he's saying, come. I have more for you. Guess what? Jesus is walking on water. Guess what? The only other person to walk on water is Peter. I want to share who I am and my story and all the different aspects of me with you. That's his invitation. He's saying, come. Come. Come out of it. And we know it's not easy to come out of it sometimes. We get it. No one's judging anybody here. But that's what the body is for. Because then you have other voices saying, go. Think about this. What did the other guys on the boat do when they saw Peter getting out of the boat into that? What did they do? I think they cheered him on. I think some of them said, what the heck are you doing? I think some of them were jealous that they didn't mouth up and try to jump out. And I think some of them were like, go! Come on, go, Peter! I think when they saw Jesus, their spirits lifted. You don't hear much about the storm after they see Jesus. They're just startled, which I think we all would be. He's just walking on water in the middle of a storm. All right, that's it. So when we come to this Sunday, you've heard it twice now. You've heard it twice now. Twice. So we took the table and now. You've heard it twice. You've heard for the past few weeks about circumstances. You've heard for the past few weeks about the grace and the goodness of God. I don't know what he's saying. I know this, though. One, he's with us. He never lets go. He never lets go. And as my man Sean Penn here is doing this with us, and Walter Mitty, you can turn that off now. He's inviting us to more for our lives. It's fine if you want to stay in the boat. No one's judging any of it. But I would be remiss not to remind you that there's an invitation to more. Last takeaway for you. I don't know if you guys are watching the news. I don't know what you're watching or what you're looking at. I don't know what the environments that you are in are. But what's happening outside of who Jesus Christ is biblical. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken. There is no steady ground to be found out there. Not socially, not politically, not financially. There is no stable ground to be found in this time that we're in. You're seeing it. We're seeing it. If we're not rooted and grounded in this, oh, we're going to get tossed by the waves. We're going to get tossed by the waves. The church, the body of God, this is one of his gifts to us, that we would be able to engage with one another in a living way, sharing who Jesus Christ is. Don't miss out on it. Because guess what? Maybe I'm not supposed to get out of the boat, but I can help throw you out, John. Is that where you want to go? I'll help you get out there. You understand? This is the gift. And the enemy is real, but the waves, they're not really for. That's just a show. Because when we lock eyes with Jesus, anything is possible. He's our God. Amen? I'm not going to milk this anymore. So that's it. Amen. We're good.